Let's talk about baggage. In one of my videos, I mentioned how we carry a baggage of collection of all the deep places we never looked and don't want to look, don't want others to look and see what's there. And I just called it a very heavy baggage. So the question on YouTube was from a friend, again a new friend. I have a lot of new friends on YouTube because I just started this series after a long time not really speaking to people publicly. Was in my own journey, and now I felt ready, felt inspired after Buddha at the gas pump interview with Rick Archer, where we discussed this, that I only had on my YouTube channel videos from 2013, 2014, and interview on a Buddha on a gas pump, at the gas pump. I always mixed up. My Buddha is on a bull and Rick Archer's Buddha at a gas pump. So Buddha on a bull was recently at the gas pump. And they were meeting together. And each of us have a Buddha nature, so it's nothing really grandiose to see that in yourself and to talk to people from that place, from the Buddha nature place, and see that place in them. And that's what I always see in people who come across myself as friends or passerbys or clients I had before when I was actively coaching people. Don't do this anymore very actively because I have other projects, but that's very powerful when you actually coaching people, guiding people, mentoring people from the place of seeing in them that completeness, that Buddha nature, who they really are. And then from that place you can unwrap anything. It's what helped me from the place of completeness and divinity and Buddha nature, to see the character I am in this life playing around with. It is very healing for people when somebody see them in their completeness, and of course see their everything, including all the baggage, and help them to unload it. People with whom I work, I love them very much. We became very close. It's very connecting to meet with people in that place where they can be real with you, with all their baggage, because you are real with them, not putting yourself on a any kind of pedestal. It's a very shaky foundation to be on a pedestal. I sidetracked a little bit, so we were talking about a question that my new friend on YouTube asked me. He asked me if I unloaded all my baggage. So I said yes. Why not? I can answer anything. Just like on my Facebook page. I can write anything. So, of course, I did unload it. The main suitcase with the most bricks, the most heavy one. Otherwise, I wouldn't speak to you right now about it. I don't really know how I could, because I can't speak from the place of which I didn't explore. It's just my mind is in this way. It's a gift or an obstacle, I don't know, but I only can talk from the place of my own personal experience. I can't really read or watch somebody and then come here and talk as I know. I can't. I really not made in that way. That's why I took so many years, 7 years, at least 7 years, to be able to speak. It took a long time for all these different processes, and I'm not talking about that I specifically sat at home and tried to unload my suitcase. I lived life in different ways, just immersed myself in life in different situations that were there, and through life a lot of things come up and got unloaded. That's what I mean when I say all this work is no effort work. If you only trust that life will bring you situations and people, specific environment, living environment, that will help you to unload that heaviness. And it will be painful, of course. Submitting to life is a very courageous and also natural act. You just welcome everything that will arise for the mind to unload those deep seated protection mechanisms. And feeling of freedom comes from that. Freedom is when you are not protecting anything. The mind is not protecting anything. The mind, of course, is still there. This is how human being is made, with a brain and the process of the brain that we call mind. And sometimes I use also this word mind for a bigger perspective. But in this case, we are talking about thinking mind, and that's how I call it, thinking mind or conceptual mind. So mind, of course, is still there, and the thinking is still there, and there are some concepts, of course, is still there, which is helpful to live in this human plane. Very helpful to live, to have some helpful concepts. Otherwise, you might be locked up in a psychiatric institution. So what's the difference? When you awake, the mind awake to a bigger perspective and to itself as also this mechanism that helps to live in a human form. Another question, let me bring up here from a different friend on YouTube. She asked a question, what to do if the mind is completely overwhelmed and there is a lot of thinking, and how to deal with that kind of situation. And if I would be non-duality teacher, I would probably answer from a different perspective. But since I'm just a human, and human who just shares her own experience with other fellow travelers on a spiritual path. First, what came to me when I read that question, of course I came to my own experience, how I dealt with this kind of phenomena of the mind to overpower awareness. So the awareness sort of dive with the mind into whatever thinking is, and the feeling, the emotions, the sensations, all supports that. And basically you end up completely identified at that moment as that character in that particular emotional situation. What I would say, just dive in. Don't worry about it. Just leave that situation with all the emotions, with all the thoughts, with all the feelings, whatever in that situation is arising. Let it be. Let it arise. Let it identify with the strong emotion. So what? So what? It's a human life. At the same time, if you allow yourself just to be whatever is in a situation, be that in a full awareness of what's going on, or being totally identified and dived into the character, upset, in fear, anything. It doesn't matter. Life is going on. Nothing wrong. It's painful for the character. It is painful. Painful feelings. And don't we talk about this all this time in Complete Humanity series about pain? About feeling pain fully and not running from it. And that's what will make you free. And I talk about it's all taking time. So today you will dive in and cry about how poor you are, how painful it is, how nobody understands you, feeling totally a victim in a situation. And maybe it will take you a day or two or whatever it takes. Doesn't matter. And then you just allow yourself cry and feel poor. Poor me. Then after that finish, you see, right, that you completely dived in a situation, in the thoughts of poor me and feelings of poor me, and something was aware about that anyway, right? You just were not in sync a little bit. It's all right. So the next time you dive into poor me, it will be maybe the same 2 days. It's just a random, for example, or shorter. And the next time you will identify with all those troubles and feelings of pain. It will be a little bit shorter. It will get shorter and shorter. And then one day, and I just wanna again say it takes time to allow yourself just to be and feel, especially for us long-time spiritual seekers. It takes a while to relax because we were practicing for so long. Our mind is very vigilant. It wants to practice all the time. It doesn't want to release control of being aware of what's going on and manage the whole deal. So we keep that observer all the time. And at some point we develop observer on a spiritual journey. In the beginning, we try to develop the observer. We try to develop a little space in the experience to see what's going on. But then that observer become an obstacle. So I brought this example many times before when I did live meetings and satsangs, something like that. I brought this example of you at 12, for example, or 11 years old, 10, and riding a bicycle. Yeah. So absolutely enjoying the ride, being totally present as a little boy or a little girl on a bicycle. And then as a spiritual seekers, we develop this observer faculty of the mind that at some point of our journey become an obstacle. Now imagine you adult riding on a bicycle with that observer, practicing mindfulness, what we call. So split attention, not present fully in the moment. There is an observer there that in a way of full joy, fully being present, fully immersed in the presence of yourself on a bicycle. How fun is that? Not fun. A little fun, but not fully fun. And you know this if you practice in mindfulness and you love to ride a bicycle or any other activities that you loved in the childhood, you can compare the fullness of joy of you riding a bicycle at 12 years old and now a very spiritual practitioner on a bicycle. So that's why I suggest just immerse yourself, just like that 12 years old on a bicycle. And of course on a bicycle it's a mind state of joy. And you asked me a question about difficult emotions, difficult situation, and this kind of destructive thinking. I would suggest the same in your situation, because I read your question and I see that you are not a beginner. For beginner, I would suggest to split the attention and have the observer. But for you, I see that you are advanced spiritual seeker, spiritual practitioner, I would say. The word seeker became almost like a forgot that word in English, like a punishment or something. I sent an email to my email list. I have a small email list, my friends from Facebook. Small community. And I said, I started to record videos for my fellow spiritual seekers, and I immediately got an email back that I am very happy for you, Elena, but I will not watch your videos because I'm not spiritual seeker anymore. So maybe I made a mistake calling my friends spiritual seekers. I uh, I love to play. I love to play with my partner. I love to play with my friends. I just love to play. I am very playful. Mm, have very playful mind. It's very natural for me. It's my authentic feature. I always was playful, and when I wasn't, it wasn't good. Thank you for listening and giving me the opportunity to do this work.